Welcome back to the SourceFed podcast, guys. Hey, this is a podcast where three people come together and they like to talk about, that's nice. Ooh, Whitney is very warm. You're like normal temperature. You are running.
I run hot.
You're running hot.
We're holding hands.
I run hot.
Oh.
Whitney, can you feel breathe through my hands?
I can. It's electric.
Bree,
You feel my squeeze.
Wait, squeeze?
Wait, send one over.
Oh, shit.
I'm doing hand kegels.
She squeezed and I just squeezed back, so it's perfect. How are you guys doing? Bree Esrig?
Yeah.
Twitter at Bree Esrig?
Yeah.
Little plug. How you doing?
I'm great.
Mhm.
How are you?
I'm good. Sam Basher at Sam Basher Instagram. I'm doing pretty well. Little plug. Just kind of snuck that in there. Whitney, tweet me more. How you doing?
That's me.
Excuse Sam.
A lot of people think it's tweet me more.
Uh-uh.
But you can tweet me as much as you want, whether it's more or not at all. It's tweet. It's tweet me more.
Oh, guys, this is a little podcast that SourceFed started so that we could just have long conversations about what's going on in life, maybe a fun topic. It's a good old time. And you guys enjoy it. You guys share with your friends like you're supposed to, don't you? We love it when you do that. Just want to slip into your ear.
Your voice is very ASMR right now.
Thank you.
It's so soothing.
For my
oddly satisfying.
For Only Stupid Answers, the podcast DJ and I have, I always start out with
Oh.
and it's little hums.
I like that. It vibrates my brain.
No lie.
Mhm.
Just now I got a tingle.
Yeah, me too.
Hey.
Same.
A little-
Ooh.
It's just me not wanting to be coherent and enunciate, but
Right.
to each their own. Am I right?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, big thanks to the sponsor of today's podcast, Squarespace. It's actually brought to you by Squarespace. Whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, a professional blog, or an online store, it's all included with your Squarespace website. Do you guys have websites?
No,
Not yet.
I
Ooh.
should. Everybody's telling me I gotta get one.
Mhm.
Don't know what to put on it.
I've been checking out. Nope. I don't want to say because I know that someone who's listening to this is going to go ahead and nab it before I say anything. But
Don't
there's-
say it.
Don't say it because some sneaky guy already nabbed one. But Squarespace has got a lot of options for websites, which is really cool. And also, creating a website with Squarespace is super simple and it's an intuitive process. You can add and arrange your content and features with the click of a mouse using Squarespace's award-winning templates.
I was going to use Squarespace as soon as I find a photographer, the right photographer to take some editorial photos.
Gotta find the right one.
Yeah.
I wanted to get whitneymore.com, but it has been taken. Last time I looked, I think it was in high school, and it was taken
Dang.
by a Latin singer by the same name. She's fantastic, by the way.
Ooh.
Sam Basher was a Christian singer in Tennessee back in like the early 2000s. So he's
We
kind
both have musician doppelgangers.
Yeah, he's got like, I'm like, I want to meet you. You have no connection to my family whatsoever, like immediate family whatsoever. Like I asked everybody, even my grandparents, like, we don't have anybody out there. We don't know who that is. So I'm like, hello, I'd like to meet you.
I'm the only one.
Is there
Only Brie
Brie
Esrig?
Esrig
I'm the
taken?
only Brie Esrig in the world.
Whoa.
How does that
So
feel?
it feels great.
Jesse is the only Jesse McKeel in the United States, but I don't know if he's checked the world because his family spells their name weird and backwards.
That's how you do it. That's how you
Yeah.
get, like, that's how you sneak by
Yeah, you
with an
sneak
original
by.
name. But you can start your free trial for Squarespace at squarespace.com/sourcefed and enter the offer code SourceFed to get 10% off your first purchase. And if you sign up for a whole year, this is awesome, you'll receive a custom domain for free for a year. Squarespace. Go ahead and check that out.
dog.
Thank you so much for sponsoring this episode. Now into that juicy stuff.
Wait,
Joel-
do it again. You're about to go into the voice.
Now into the juicy stuff.
Listen,
Oh
I never got
my
ASMR until this moment.
Hey.
This is the first time. Will you record an audiobook that I can listen to as I'm falling asleep
Should
at
I
night?
talk like that?
Yeah.
Sam, you have no idea how good that sounds. I've been really into sand cutting, like kinetic sand. When people cut
There's
kinetic
so many
sand with a
Oh,
knife.
videos
yeah.
on that.
I'm into that. I'm into like the slime, people playing with slime,
And, like, the foam-
paint
the foam
mixing.
stuff.
So you actually, because you did the sketch on Nuclear Family, like kind of like it parodies it. So you
Yes.
actually like, you like it?
I parodied it because I love it.
Oh, I thought
Because
it
it's
was little
something that
jokes.
interests me. No, it's jokes, but it's. I mean, there's so much to make fun of in everything.
Yeah.
But I genuinely like am
The
into
ones on
ASMR.
Instagram of the kinetic sand are pretty fantastic, and it's also visually pleasing because they like put them into molds and then slice them with a
Oh,
knife.
no, I
It's
like that.
beautiful.
They're great, and then it sounds nice. There's a lot. There's ones that like I can't really get behind, but I get it. Where it's like, what's that slime that has like the foam balls in it?
Oh, Floam.
Floam.
Yeah.
It's like people squeezing Floam. It's not even Nickelodeon brand Floam. That's just like what we think it is. It's just a different kind.
It's generic.
I've
If it's
tried.
generic, no, the real thing or get the fuck out.
Is Floam
Right?
a thing anymore still?
I wish.
No, but I
Wish.
definitely had to watch what is he? Like a brother-in-law? I don't know what he is. Some kid I had to watch, and he got it caught in his hair, and it dried out. So it was like stuck in there, and it doesn't like when it dries. It's not like Play-Doh where it kind of crumbles. It just stays as like a solid thing. It's not like styrofoam anymore. It's like it's not fun.
Have
Could
you
you
guys
get it
ever
wet?
gotten gum in your hair before?
Yes.
No.
What did you use to get it out?
Peanut butter.
Oh, that happened to my sister, and we put a bunch of peanut butter on her head, and it didn't work.
What?
It like maybe we just didn't use the right brand of peanut butter, but it like she just had peanut butter and gum in her hair.
Do you know how
Yum.
I did it? It's the dumbest story. So there was this movie that I used to be obsessed with called The River Pirates.
The
and it
River
takes
Pirates.
place in like the 50s. I guess back in the day when you were chewing your bubble gum and you wanted to save it for later, you put it behind your ear.
Yeah. I did
So
that.
I did that like a fucking tool.
Oh, and then it just got
And it got stuck in my hair, and it
that's
was
so
bad.
funny. I feel like a lot of kids probably did that. I have a spooky story.
It's so
since-
gross because it's like now because I did it too, but thinking about it's like just like sweat and like gross.
Yeah.
Did you know you have behind the ear pimples?
It can happen, yeah.
Oh
Well,
my
that's a
God.
way to
Did you
like
just
get
like discover some? And you're like, what is
no,
this?
not
Yeah.
on me, but someone was telling me about how they got their behind the ear pimples popped
Ew.
during a facial.
Ew.
Oh, hey, I got a facial.
Sorry, I'm sorry to bring that up.
got a
Oh, you
facial.
finally did it.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was hurt. It kind of hurt sometimes.
Did
They
they
had some
do
kind
the
of magical.
extraction?
Yes, that was like nice to look at my face. It was like clean, but also red as hell. So it was nice. But they had some kind of wand that shot like electricity out of it. Is that like a thing that sounds right? Or did I go to like a
I
mad
don't
scientist?
know what that is.
It's like those like ion, like you know those like generators you touch and makes your hair stand up.
Yes.
It felt like that, but on my face, and it was like this kind of hurts when it got like near my eye.
It could have been like the pimple lasers.
Yeah,
These
maybe.
pimple lasers.
Was
Yeah.
it good though? Was
Yes,
it nice?
Yeah, she was.
Was it
nice.
hot?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's for pimples.
Since this is a spooky SourceFed podcast, Joel wanted us to answer a couple leftover residual table talk questions. But before we get into that, I want to tell you a gum story.
Yum.
Because it reminded me of that. And it is Stephen King was talking in an interview about how he got into writing scary stories, and he was telling the person interviewing about his mom told him a story about when she was a little girl, and back then that was like olden days. That was back when if you had chewing gum, you would save it by putting it on your bedpost, or you could have a little dish next to your bed to save your gum for later, because it was the fucking 20s.
Been there.
And so she told him, young Stephen King, a story about how when she was a little girl, she woke up in the middle of the night and she wanted her gum. So she reached over to her gum dish and popped it in her mouth. And
God.
she crunched on a big moth that had landed in the gum.
Wait, they don't put like a
And-
thing over it? It's just sitting there.
No, it was
Ugh.
the fucking 20s. I don't know. They didn't give a shit. So Stephen King was saying, if I could capture just the acidic taste and the flutter of the wings in her mouth, then I would be a great horror writer. And that's what got him started into horror writing. Isn't that fucking creepy?
Yeah.
Great story. Holy
Well,
shit.
Also, two things that sound disgusting is wings fluttering in your mouth and insect crunch.
Oh God, that's so gross.
Which actually leads that's a good segue into the story or the question he wanted to have answered here, which was, what's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you? And mine is easy. It's not like life-threatening or really scary, just gross. Cockroach was in my bed over the summer, found his way in, not welcome there, by the way. But I didn't notice at first. I was a nude, and I felt something like kind of like itch me, and I like was sleeping, so I sort of like brushed it off and like went back to sleep. But I guess I brushed it onto Jesse, who is sleeping next to me, and he felt it like land on him, and then lost his shit, got out of bed, cockroach, 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 and we got up, and then it took us like 10 minutes to find it and kill it, and I did not sleep. and I stayed on the couch and watched Legally Blonde.
That's a good movie to watch after something like
unwind.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my
God.
god.
So that's the scariest thing that's happened to me that I can think of recently. How about you guys?
Recent? That's a little harder because I don't think there hasn't been too many spooky things that have happened, but there are like a few things that like stand out because there's a chance I like encountered a ghost and it was my dead grandma, and there was that. But I think the scariest thing that happened that was like,
But
as
it's not
far-
scary if it's your grandma, right?
Mainly just how it was happening. It was not really scary. I mean, it wasn't really fun. But the thing that was like legitimately scary was like, hopefully I haven't told this. I'm going to just tell it anyways. I had to like get someone away from a girlfriend that I was dating at the time. Like, he was basically like, I was in a long distance relationship and I was visiting her, and she lives in the Midwest. So she was, we were like leaving her like apartment thing, and they're basically like, they look like big houses that are attached just over and over again, and they kind of like create little like apartment units that are like 2 stories tall. And so when we walked out of ours, a few seconds after, this old man walked out, and he was in like this ratty robe, and he was barefoot, and he was kind of wearing like underwear and a shirt, and he just looked like he was very lost. And so we were walking out, we had to make a right, and then he made a left. So we were heading towards each other, and we were heading towards our car, and he didn't look up. He just kept walking towards us without like really making a decision, it looks like. So I was like not feeling great, so I kind of put my hand on her back, and I was kind of like, let's move just a little faster. And she was driving, it was her car, and we got her to I like put her over there. I went over to my side, but he grabbed the door before she closed it, and he pointed. He didn't say anything, and he just stared at like, I think like her wallet or something. And so I got out and I went over and I like moved him away from the door. She closed it, she locked it, and I had left my door open, so he all of a sudden was really fast, and so he ran around the car, and I ran around the front, and I kicked the door with my foot and closed it, and all he did was stare at me like as if he was going to attack me. And all of a sudden he kind of like, as if something snapped, and he like looked off into nothingness, and he walked away like down the street. And we were so
Were
like,
any words exchanged?
no, he didn't say any. Like, my girlfriend at the time was like, "Can we help you?" And he just kept pointing and pointing. It was like either like a wallet or phone or something. We don't know what he wanted. We don't know what happened. But that's the scariest like real thing that's happened. That was like a couple years ago.
Did you tell this on a thing that we were on recently, or did you just tell me recently?
Oh, that's where I think I told you on the horror movie screening we did.
Oh, Amityville, which, by the
Yeah.
way, credit to Bree Essrig for delivering the spookiest scare.
Yes, that was a good
Bree,
one.
do you know what we're watching this week?
What?
Human Centipede.
Oh.
I've never
Sam has not seen it. Philip has not seen it.
I have not seen it.
I
either.
have.
You wanna come
seen
join
it.
us?
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, yes, I want to join you
wanna
all
watch
the
it.
time.
you can come join. You can come scare us.
Okay.
Yeah, because we appreciate the scares.
It is. I watched it when it came out, and so I don't remember if it's actually scary as much as it's just
Disgusting.
disgusting.
I've
Yeah.
seen clips.
It's pee gross.
I have not. I've seen like I've never seen anything.
That
I've never
actor
seen
in
anything.
it that plays the mad scientist, though, is like a famous actor. He's like a really, really big German actor, and he is fantastic in it. He is just like, he sells it so hard. He makes me appreciate that movie. Although I wouldn't say it's
as like a piece of
good
cinema.
movie. No, I appreciate his commitment to it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate good acting. You know.
Yeah, even doesn't matter. Actually,
Even
like
if you're a fucking weirdo pervert that sews people's mouths to their buttholes.
yum, it's a science experiment.
Yeah.
It's like Einstein, right? It's when
Yeah.
he did the thing.
He did Einstein, his famous experiment where he sews people's mouths to their buttholes.
It's relatable. You could tie it back. Do you have a scary moment?
I was just trying to think of an Albert Einstein quote. Like, what was that one? Like, inspiration is more important than knowledge. What is that?
better to have
stupid?
loved and lost.
That's
Live,
the one.
love, laugh. That's my
Laugh.
favorite Albert
Eat,
Einstein.
pray,
quote.
love.
Oh, scary story.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I can't really. Recently, I guess. I don't know if you've listened to Steve's podcast with Mike, Dynamic Banter.
No.
We've been seeing this crazy lady that lives in Steve's building.
That's the one that that Owen wants to date, right?
No, different person. Apparently there's like 5 or 6
guys have a
crazy
lot of-
ladies in the building, but there is this woman who just screams at them every time she sees them and like doesn't hold the elevator and like it's just like no, don't. And she's like she's like batshit looking, like she's like crazy gray hair. She looks like the woman from Donnie Darko that like goes into the middle of the street every day or whatever and
Oh,
checks
yeah.
her mailbox. She looks like that woman. And the other day, Steve was walking down the street. And when he told this to me, I got legit chills.
Mm-hmm.
He's walking down the street. And he sees the woman across the street walking. And so he whips out his phone to take a picture of her. And she's turned away from him. All of a sudden, she stops and turns around as soon as he's taking the picture and looks right into the camera.
Whoa.
And
does
Steve
what?
showed me the picture. And she just has this, like, face that was just like, who's there? Who's taking this picture of me?
Do you think
Who's
she's
capturing
crazy?
my soul?
Or do you think that she just is irritated by young people?
Probably demons. You
Probably
didn't say
I'm going to be
demons.
honest.
Yeah.
I think my theory is she got into a car accident, like a crazy accident or something. And
Whoa.
like her family sued or something. And she got a bunch of money. And that's why she lives in that building. Because she's always around.
Oh.
And you know what she's doing now at this point? Like, you have to be, like, obviously, I don't want to be like, you're crazy if you're mentally ill. You know, like, I don't want to, like, bring that into it. But
Yeah.
she's taking the recycling out and putting it into the real trash.
What?
And she takes, like, stuff and kicks it into the gutter. She takes garbage and kicks it into the gutter.
What the hell?
So she's got a few.
That's just
problems.
She, like, screams at you if you tell her, like, you need to leave that in that bin.
So she's ill.
She's ill.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jeez.
That's, you know what? That is scary because, first of all, that is a fucking creepy story, and I want to tell you that. But also, like,
How did she
I
know?
never,
How did she know to turn around and stare at the camera? That was
She's
just,
got The Shining.
that's weird.
Okay, I feel like I don't usually get scared by people, but I have known a couple mentally ill people before, and like I've seen people have crazy mood swings, and I've seen how you can just lose your sense of judgment really quick, and that is
I've done
terrifying
it.
to me. Yeah,
I've done that before. I've been in that position.
it's so scary. And you know
It
what?
is.
Even the people that I've talked to, I have people who are close to me, that are like that, and they even know like I'm out of my mind right now, and they can't help themselves, and that's scary, guys. There's nothing scarier than the human brain. Let's be real.
Hey,
True.
every Twilight Zone episode taught us the monsters aren't the scary people. The people are the
Yep,
scary people.
that's true.
Best show ever.
Yes.
Do you guys like? You like the Twilight Zone? Bree, do you like the Twilight
Love
Zone?
it. I feel like
What's your
we
guys'
always
favorite?
talk about it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite episode? We probably have talked about this before. Apologies if we have.
I like the one with Robert Redford. It's not one of the more popular ones, but I just like the message behind it. It's the woman who won't leave her apartment. I think I've told you guys this, but not you, them. But the woman won't leave her apartment. She's very old now. Like, she won't leave it at all because she feels that if she leaves, death will get her. And like she'll just die. But all of a sudden, she hears like a gunfight happening outside of her apartment because she lives in like now, like, since she's never left, it's turned into this really bad neighborhood. And there's a man's like wounded outside of her like apartment, so like she's like, fine, I'll take you in, and like it like starts taking care of him. And like as it goes on, they kind of like start to talk about like what's wrong with her and like what happened to her. And then like you find out that like the city has been trying to like tear down this building for a long time, but they because she won't leave, they can't. But they come, like, a man comes and says like, we are able to get the permits, like you have to move out, like start packing up your things. And she says, I can't, like this man's wounded. And he's like, who are you talking about? He's like, there's nobody here. And he turns around and it's death. Like the man was death and he tricked her. And but he's like, it's okay. It's like, you wouldn't let me in, so I kind of had to like come and trick you a little bit. But it's more like but he's talking about how the whole time he's talking about how death isn't scary. It's just a passing from this journey to the next journey. And like he's like, all I meant to do is move you from here to here, and like you just didn't let me. So I'm like, I had to come and kind of talk to you and make sure and show you that it's okay. And then she ends up falling asleep, and then she moves on, and then then they come and find her, and then the building falls down, and like that's the end. So she gets to like it's a really cool perspective on death.
Yeah.
It's really
It always
beautiful.
had such poignant
Poignant, yes.
ways to talk about really, really hard stuff like death and humanity and war. And like Rod Serling did such a good job of like, hitting really important points in social events and politics, but making it subtle. And like, man, the book Tales from the Twilight Zone, it's all of his short stories before they became Twilight Zone episodes.
That's
and he's just
cool.
one of the best writers
I like the
you've
one.
ever seen.
Have you seen the one where it's like they're gonna hang a man in a town, but all of a sudden the town just goes dark, and like they're like the lights kind of work, but like the sky is black, and they're like, why? And like they kind of start to figure out.
They're all arguing about why it happened.
And they blame the guy that they're gonna hang, and they're like, no, it's not. It's the hate. It's the hate that you guys have for this man, for each other, for like other races, for the religions. And it's like, and they're like, you can't hang this man, because if you do, it's gonna be permanent. And they do it anyways, because like the hate is so engulfing, and then it spreads over the entire world, just engulfed in darkness. It's very like literal. It's very heavy-handed, but it's a good one. Sorry, what are your guys' favorites?
What's your favorite?
I like the one where the woman, I think it's called the number 8 looks good on you or something, is right for you, number 12, I don't know, but basically the premise is you go into this factory when you hit a certain age, and you get a new
we've
body.
Definitely talked about
We've
this.
talked about this. You get a new body that's like the perfect body, and you get a pick from a catalog. There's only a few choices, and so you go and you have to like be in this body. And so this one girl's, it's her turn to go, and she's looking through the catalogs, and she's like, but what if I like the way I look? Like, I don't want to, I think I look just fine. And they're like, no, but you would look better like this. And she's like, no, I want to be me. I want to do it, and blah, blah, blah. And then she gets into this new body, and it's really depressing and sad. But
I'm realizing that all of the Twilight Zone episodes, it's not really like a fun topic because they're all super sad.
Yeah.
It's like Black Mirror. I mean,
but sometimes
that's why we like it so much, because we like sad sci-fi that is about humanity.
Sometimes they can be fun though. Like sometimes they can be kind of like silly and
like
stupid.
the kid in the phone that he talks to grandma on it on his toy phone.
I don't remember that one.
That one's creepy and fun. I love the one. This is also a sad one where the criminal is banished to Mars, and like his sentence is to be there for 30 years, and then the guys that bring him his supplies take pity on him, so they bring him this robot woman to keep him company, and he falls in love with her, and he convinces himself that she's real, and then they lift the sentence, and they're like, you can come back to Earth. And they're like, sorry, we don't have room for the robot. You're going to have to leave her. And he's like, no! And then, like, all this crazy shit happens. And then they, like, shoot her face off. And it's just, like, wires and stuff. It's like, it's nuts.
That's cool.
Man, so many good ones.
Wait, do you remember the one that just came to me? Like two of them that I hadn't thought about in a long time. The one where the guy can shake your hand, make a deal with you, and you literally trade. Like you can be like, I have a cold, you have a broken arm, and so it's like, I want to trade, and you can shake hands, and then you like go to sleep, and then it will switch.
I don't remember that.
It's a really cool one because the guy's like a piece of shit, and like he figures out he can do it, and so like he trades with an old man who's got a cold, and the young man, this dick, has a broken arm, and he's like, the old man's complaining that if he has a cold, he's going to kill him. And he's like, I'd rather have a cold than this broken arm. And the guy's like, well, I'd rather have this broken arm than a cold. And like, so they switch. And then like he goes to an old man. And he's like, I'll give you my youth for your money, so you get to live over again. So, and then once he becomes old and rich, he starts paying off like years from people. He'll take years until he's young and rich and successful and figuring out like how to get everything he wants.
I wish I had that power.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's really cool. And then the other one,
I just want to be rich.
Yeah, me too.
Wait, the one where it's like the robot, the man on the hill, the man in the cave, where it's like,
oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's like post-apocalyptic. It's like everything's irradiated, and for some reason this man always goes up on the hill to check to see if their canned food has been expired or like it's safe to eat. And when it comes back, he usually says it's bad, and like everyone's mad, and then these people roll into town, and they're like, well, we can't trust this man. He's like, they don't even know if he's real. Like this man could be storing all the food, and they see it's a machine, and like and he's like, wait, you're just listening to a machine, blah blah blah, and they destroy it, and then they all eat all of the food that they have, and they all die because it's like and it's
so dark.
Except for like the main guy who would talk to like be the prophet. So it's like a thing about religion.
Man. You guys, if anybody that is listening to this has not seen the Twilight Zone, it's great. It is very heavy though.
Perfect for Halloween.
Yeah, and it's all on Netflix, I believe.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
I love in Rick and Morty how they just like made it. It was just an aside. It was just such a clever joke, but it's like in the beginning of one. It's when they go to the store where the owner like has whatever you want but at a cost, and he's like, quit it with your fucking Twilight Zone bullshit. I know that this shit grants your wish, but you have to trade your life in. I know that everything has a cost. Like, will you fucking stop it?
Where he decurses things. That's such a good episode.
Stuff.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you want that one? He's like, well, you get pregnant if you touch it. It's like, oh, you want to use this cream? Yeah, go invisible forever. Like, it's Rick and Morty's good. I always, like, sometimes try to think about, like, new sci-fi concepts, and I'm like, oh, man, they've done a lot already.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to adapt, like, new tech.
There was a really great short story we read in science class a long time ago that I'll never forget it.
Which one?
I forget what it's called.
Perfect.
So I forgot it. No. I just know it's about how the world is so overpopulated that it's like about how this family's trying to take a trip to the beach. And when they get to the beach, they've been driving for days to get to the beach, and it's like very close to their house. So they've been in the car for days. They finally get to the beach. They've had like a nice day in 1 square inch because the beach is so full. So they only can stand on like an inch of sand, right?
An inch?
Something they have like all of them have to like huddle together to stand on the sand. They can't even get to the water, right? So they had a great day at the beach standing on the sand. And they get in the car. So it starts where they're in the car on the way home from the beach. So the family's all passed out. The dad is driving the car. They have to drive through a tunnel in order to get home. Everyone has to go through this tunnel. But what happens in the tunnel is there's a chance that it will pick up all the cars and kill everybody. Because the earth is so overpopulated, they have to like randomly execute people.
Whoa.
And so whenever you want to go anywhere, you have to pass through these tunnels and it will randomly pick you up. And so that's why everyone in the car has like these shots where they like get put to sleep just in case it happens. But there has to be the one person who's awake during it to drive through.
That's terrifying.
So scary.
I want to find that story.
I need to find the story.
Yeah.
It's so
Weird.
good.
People should tweet it us, whatever.
Yeah.
I know.
that story is,
It was
'cause
so good.
wow.
I feel like there's always little stories that we read like that just settle
Stick
in
with
the
us.
crevices of your brain. There's one that I read on Motherboard, Vice's like science fiction, like science-y website, and it's a short story about a woman who is an astronaut, and she is she's been like on Mars or wherever on the space station by herself for a really long time, and she takes these pre-measured doses of mushrooms, and so like they're all like in little vials because she's doing like testing on drugs in space, and it's super weird, but she like takes some mushrooms and then is like thinking about her life back home and like humanity and the world, and is just like looking at the earth and is high as fuck on mushrooms, and it's such a delight. It's such a great cathartic read. I'll have to find it. I'm sure I can dig it up.
Do you guys ever read horror shorts online? Like
creepypasta?
Creepypasta's good. Those get like super fucked up sometimes.
Yeah,
but
or really corny. There's like some really bad ones out there.
Steve makes me listen to him read those out loud, like on road trips and stuff.
They're
like
fun.
read them.
Oh,
yeah,
there's
it's
a
fun.
podcast where they do that too. It's called the No Sleep Podcast.
Oh yeah, it's because Reddit knows.
Some are bad.
Yeah.
I think it's also they have a couple different narrators, and one guy sounds like this when he reads.
No
to
thanks.
you.
No
And
thanks.
it's like
You mean like
it's
Toby
so-
Turner? That's no sleep. Talk about no
that's
sleep.
actually scary.
Yeah. I was trying to think of one that like really. The one that like there's if you go on Reddit No Sleep, like you guys should check it out if you like horror at all. There's a couple really good ones, but one that like stuck with me for a long time was called Jinn. It was DJINN, which is how you're supposed to spell genie, or like that's the way of spelling genie in another country or something. But like the story is that genies actually exist, but they look like normal people and they just live forever, and they kind of like with whatever powers they have, they kind of just blend into the background because they don't want to be noticed. They want to just live lives and whatever. And so there's one's in a bar and he's sitting next to a guy, and the guy's like inconsolable. He's crying. He can't. He's just drinking his sorrows, and he starts talking about that his daughter was recently died, and that it was a car accident, that it looks like a suicide because she flew off of a cliff when like she was driving down the mountain, and the guy's like, it doesn't make any sense, like she wasn't suicidal, like I don't know what happened. They're saying there was no foul play, it looks like she just drove right off the cliff, and he's like, I just wish I knew what happened. And the guy says, your wish is my command, and like he puts his shot glass down, and all of a sudden there's a bright light and a horn, and all of a sudden something screeches out of his way and flies off a cliff, and like this guy feels like he's standing in the middle of an abyss, and like that happens in front of him, and all of a sudden he's back in the bar. And then the guy said, I'm sorry. that's what you wish for. So basically, is that the genie transported him to the night where the crash happened, and he appeared in the front of the road where his daughter was driving, and he caused the accident.
That's fucked up.
And then he got pulled back. Yeah.
That's very fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I wish I was a genie. I thought that was. I knew that it was a horror story, but I thought it was gonna go in a different direction.
Like he was gonna torment him somehow.
No, that he was just gonna be nice. I don't know why I thought he was just gonna be nice.
Mm-hmm.
I heard one on that No Sleep podcast that I really liked. It wasn't scary, but it was really cool. It was kind of spooky, but it was about these like teens that found an old theme park, which is first of all just like the coolest thing to me. I love abandoned shit.
Have you ever been to an abandoned theme park? Because
Yes.
I've never, and I really want to go.
That sounds amazing.
I found one when I was driving around in Okinawa, and it was like this children's theme park, and it's just there's something about like rides. Overgrown buildings in general are so cool, but like especially, you know, the colors of rides and, you know, how everything has this like merriment that's been dilapidated.
And
it's
like,
so cool.
Like, what is it? Continue.
Yep.
Couldn't think of the word.
So they found this theme park. It was like did you guys ever have Rocky and Bullwinkles?
Yeah.
It was like one of those with like animatronics, but it was in a barn. And so they had all these like barnyard animals that were like rusted over. And there's essentially what happens is at the bottom of the ball pit is a door. Is a little latch, and you go in, and it's kind of a portal to hell. And it's
the
such
story?
a cool
Sorry,
story.
I thought you were still telling a thing that you saw. Yeah.
And that's how I discovered metal.
Oh, cool.
No, it's you go down, and then like it was just this like sensory story. Nothing really happens in it. They like find it, and then they go in, and then they hear these like big footsteps of like hooves. So it's like some, you know, otherworldly creature, some dweeman. And they're like hiding, and then it ends pretty much. But I just love, first of all, I love the setting of an abandoned theme park, and I love like any out of place thing that is a portal to hell, like Event Horizon. Have you seen that?
Not yet. We're gonna watch that.
We're gonna
though.
watch it on. That's I think 2 weeks from now.
Yes.
It's I won't spoil it for you, but it's essentially they go on this abandoned spaceship that is a portal to hell, and I think that is so cool and spooky. Like that's why shit gets messed up. Oops, demons.
There's one story I found where it's just about a boy who gets to like finally get his own room in his house, and the house kind of has a history, but they don't know what it is. So it's like, and you never find out what the history is. But the boy gets to sleep in a bunk bed by himself, and he's like, of course he's gonna sleep on the top bunk because you're a kid, and the top bunk is great when you have a bunk bed. But in the middle of the night, he wakes up, and he hears sheets rustling, and he's like, okay, that's really weird, but I don't really want to look. Like, I don't. Like, it's probably my brother messing with me. And if I look, he's going to, like,
Close
jump
your
out
eyes.
and scare me. So all he does is rolls over, and then the rustling stops. And all of a sudden, he can feel
scared
something
right
poking through, like, not through, but, like, poking at, like, the bottom of his bed. And it starts to kind of, like, claw at the little wood struts that hold up his bed, and he kind of feels like he's trying to get to it, and the rustling gets more violent, and he screams out for his mom, and then it gets really violent, and the door opens, and it stops, and the bed's perfectly made, and there's nothing there, and then it starts to happen more and more every night, and eventually the mom just kind of like stays in the room, so he can kind of until he can like get over it. But one night the mom's mom, so the kid's grandma, is sick and is in the hospital, so he has to stay in, and so she leaves, and he has to stay in the room by himself. He's like, nope, it's not getting me. So he removes the bed. He's like, so it can't. It's gonna remove the bed. It's not gonna bug me. And then he's like, it's okay. So and then he also grabbed like a crucifix from his dad's like dresser. And he's like, I'll put that under my pillow. We're good. He goes to sleep.
So he's just sleeping on the bed frame?
He's sleeping on he removed the bottom bunk. So there isn't anywhere for like this thing to like mess with him as far as he can, from the little kid logic, and like from reader logic, you're like, no, something bad's gonna happen. And all of a sudden, like he goes to sleep, and he wakes up, he's like, I don't hear anything, and then he tries to move, and he feels a weight on top of him, and he can't see anything, but he can see that there's something underneath the blanket that's laying on top of him that's asleep. That's not moving.
Is it a kitten?
And it's a kitten.
It's a cute cat.
I wish it was a cute
Oh,
cat.
cat sleeping on me.
But he doesn't change his breathing. He doesn't want to like
Wake it up.
He doesn't want to wake it up, and he's like, it's something. it feels cold and it feels damp, and like I don't want to touch it. So all he did was he tries to reach up and grab the crucifix, and that's when he starts to feel like the hands of this thing close down on him and wake up slowly. So he grabs it and he holds it towards like the thing, and he can't see it because it lifts up, but the blanket's still covering it, so he can't really figure out what it is. But it starts to move its legs to the wall, and it merges with the wall. So it's trying to pull him as hard as he can. So he's holding onto the bed and he's holding onto the crucifix, and he's like trying to get this thing to let him go. And he's getting closer and closer, but then he looks and like the sun's coming up. So he's like trying to hold off as long as he can. And like finally the sun comes up, he's screaming. His dad comes, sun comes up, the thing sucks into the wall. And eventually, like, this is when I thought the story got like, I'm like, wait, what? All he did was he moved the bed to the other side of the room to like the not haunted wall, and like then everything was fine after that. But overall, it's a great read.
Did he see what it was?
No, couldn't. He never saw what it was.
No, but I love that story because it captures this feeling that we've all had, which is if I don't look, nothing's
gonna
scary.
happen.
Nothing's gonna happen if I just don't pay attention to it. It's not real if I don't look, and that is so scary and so real. Also, like that story because it reminds me of sleep paralysis. Have either of you ever experienced that?
No, I haven't, but I've heard goddamn nightmare stories.
There was a period last year. I got it like maybe once or twice a month for like 6 months last year, and it is so
really
scary.
So wait, you wake up and you can't like talk, right? It's like you can't move.
What literally happens is your brain wakes up before your body, and oh my god, I had it last night. I just remembered.
What?
It happens a lot if you're like just drifting off, or if you're like take a nap in the middle of the day because your brain is disoriented. But it's essentially your brain wakes up before your body does and sends a bunch of what's the word?
Signals?
Like
Chemicals?
when you're really excited, what's that?
Endorphins?
Dopamine.
Nope. The like
Serotonin.
The like I'm fucking jacked right now.
Endorphin.
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline. Yes, thank you. Sends a bunch of adrenaline to your body because your brain goes into fight or flight. Because it's something about it's like waking up, and so it's trying to wake your body up, and so it's the feeling of being paralyzed. And what I have to do, your obviously results may vary if you experience this. I've never had any of the spooky shit like some people say they feel like something sitting on their chest, or they can like see something, and that's there's like lore associated with it. But what I have experienced is you just have to like jumpstart yourself. And so how I do that is like I usually have to like and like really try hard to like wake myself up, and it's the weirdest thing. Also, the only time I've ever had lucid dreaming has been
When you have sleep paralysis?
yeah, and it's like a nightmare, and I'm like, okay, I gotta wake myself up. But it's happened to me so many times now. I'm like, all right, I know what's going on, and it's annoying, but it's also like kind of painful too.
No, I've had it where it's like a nap. So it's like you're trying to wake up because like I know my eyes kind of open, and I can kind of like feel like come on. I kind of feel drunk too. It's like you're like get up, move your body, do it, and like or you fall back asleep, and it like also feels really scary because like you can kind of move at least when I do it. So it might not be sleep paralysis, but like you can kind of move your arm a little, like you can kind of move your head, but it feels like there's all this weight on you.
Yeah,
and you have to kind of like I usually end up falling asleep
It's
again.
what happens
and then
when
pull myself out.
when your body parts fall asleep.
yeah.
So like if you've ever fallen asleep on your arm or something and it's too heavy, that's what it's like.
But it's
you
your
cannot
whole
move
body.
But all
But
over.
it's everywhere.
Oh, it's so scary.
I once fall asleep like this with my arms crossed and laying down, so both my arms fell asleep, and I was like, it wasn't sleep paralysis. I just couldn't move. I didn't have the momentum to roll over to get the blood flowing again. So I was like,
if you sat up, if you used your ab muscles to sit up, your arms would have just flopped down.
yeah, no, but like laying down, like laying flat on my belly.
But that's also
on your belly.
Yeah, that's why it was trapped. So I was like, and so all I did was just kept
that's
rocking
scary.
until like I finally and then tilted over, and then I just let my arms like flop.
Has that ever happened to you guys though, when you're like in the middle of the night, if you like fall asleep on your arm and you like wake up and you don't register immediately that your arm has fallen asleep, so you're like, I'm fucking paralyzed. What happened? Like,
Okay, my ex, this is so funny. He used to always fall asleep wherever, whenever, and he slept hard. One time he fell asleep on his arm. He woke up the next morning and his hand, he could not feel his hand, and he had to, the feeling did not come back for months.
What?
And so he was actually had to go to like therapy and like rehabilitate his whole like wrist and hand and arm.
That happened
because he like would stick it under steaming water. He'd sit it under like
Spooky.
steaming hot water just to prove that he could not feel a thing. Like,
Jesus.
That's scary.
isn't that so scary?
Something
He's like, it's never
similar.
gonna come back. He couldn't write. He couldn't do anything.
did he get
Oh,
it
he couldn't
back?
like.
No, he couldn't. He couldn't move it. It was like dead weight.
Did he get everything back?
It came back. Everything came back.
That is
But it took
crazy.
months. It took 2.5 months.
That's exactly
Jesus
what happened
Christ.
to my best friend in San Francisco. She pinched a nerve when she was sleeping. I don't know if it went numb, but she couldn't move it, and it was like a claw hand for months. And how fucked up is it that you can just sleep wrong and lose the ability to use your hand?
Sleep
Could I
so
like?
hard.
Could I like work out more? Just like fix my circulation, and maybe that'll make it better and not happen. Like I always kind of think
Oh,
about
no.
in my growing age, I've realized how quickly my legs will fall asleep on the toilet, and it could be that I'm not working out enough. You know what I mean?
You should wear compression socks. I
Is
feel
that
like maybe
Does that
that's
help?
the thing.
Whenever I
You're
go to the
supposed to
bathroom.
wear that
Circulate.
stuff on planes to keep like the blood flowing,
Yeah,
the circulation.
I heard one of those scary stories where like a guy's like on like a 16-hour flight and he stands up and falls down because he's dead.
What?
You get blood clots. That's why you need circulation. Like yeah, he got a blood clot. So no, he stood up.
That was such a weird way to phrase that.
Sorry.
He was dead. I thought he's a dead guy who
He
stood up.
And he fell down because he's
No,
dead.
it's like an urban legend that you get a blood
He
clot.
stood up,
Uh-huh.
and because he stood up, he died.
No, he stood up dead. Yeah.
I was like, wait, a dead man stood up?
Uh-huh.
What?
There was
Spooky, right?
That's spooky.
He's straight. Like it's like when people say they wake up dead or something like that. No, it's like no, he
He
stood
never
up
woke
dead.
up.
Yeah. He stood up dead. But no, yeah, he get it. You got dislodged and immediately was like.
That is so scary.
Yep.
What the fuck, bodies?
That's why you
just
just walk
work,
around.
okay?
That's why you walk around on flights.
I when I was on a red eye to Nantucket recently, like last month for a wedding, I was sleeping because it was the middle of the night, and I woke up to this giant thud next to me. And a man, a very tall, full-grown man, had like completely dead weight fallen and did not get up immediately. So everyone was like, "Is there a doctor? Is there a doctor?" He was not getting up. And he got up and I was like, "Oh, sorry."
No.
And they let him sit back in like where the stewardesses hang out. And it turns out he just had 2 beers. And because of the altitude, he fucking passed out. And altitude can really fuck you up if you
true.
drink.
Oh,
And
yeah.
He's like this big adult man.
No, when we did our shoot for Naked and Afraid, I had a beer. Like I'm also a lightweight, but like a beer, I was like, "Whoa, this is powerful." This
Does
is
your
Stella.
voice get that
Your
much
voice
deeper?
just
when you-
ASMR'd again.
Whoa.
That was such a fun weekend.
That yeah,
Was it a
I
weekend?
can't
Yeah, it was
remember
a
what
weekend.
days we did that.
I don't remember, but
That was
that
a lot
was
of fun.
super fun.
Was that in Big Bear?
Idlewild?
Yeah.
I love Idlewild so much. You know, they have, I think we talked about this. You guys have heard of Hicksville, right?
No.
Hicksville is my favorite place to vacation in Joshua Tree. It's these themed Airstream trailers.
Oh yes, you did.
And
yeah.
you go, it's like unmarked on a map. You go and they give you the directions the day of your reservation. It's completely like, it's so secluded, but it's like so kitschy and fun. It's like AstroTurf and there's a bunch of fun shit to do. It's really cool. But they just opened up an Idlewild location that's cabins. It's themed cabins instead of
Oh.
Airstream trailers. And I want to go so bad.
I always go up there. Let's go.
Okay,
Love it there.
let's go right now.
I'll come with you.
If you do that voice, you're allowed to,
Thank
but only
you.
if you speak like that.
Yeah, everyone has walkie-talkies, and I just lull them to sleep with like the little.
Oh,
I'm never going barefoot up in Idlewild again, though.
You know what? That seemed like a bad idea, and it was.
Do you remember when we were laughing at Raina because she brought tennis shoes as her one item, her
Yeah.
survival item?
It was super smart. Even if you took out those laces, the shoes would still work,
Wait,
and
you
you'd be
guys
fine.
had one survival item?
Yeah.
I didn't watch this video. Tell me about it.
Oh.
What was your survival item? I'm gonna watch it, and so should you, internet.
There you
Mine
go.
was string.
String.
You had string, I had a knife. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we made shoes out of bark, and it was so, it's so stupid. I mean, like it was smart, but
was
like
stupid.
they
No,
fell
it's
apart
stupid.
immediately. And then I tried to make a shoe
like
out
that
of string,
thinking, though.
and it just cut off circulation of my feet. So like that wasn't worth
it was
it.
so stupid. The worst part was that we had so many splinters at the end of it in
Yeah.
our feet and in our fingers.
Ow.
It was so dumb.
How
and I
long
had
did you
pine
guys have
needles
to be
stuck to my
naked?
feet.
Huh?
How long did you guys have to be naked and afraid?
For a minute.
Overnight.
Yeah.
Overnight?
No, it was like all day.
Yeah.
Oh, could you do a follow-up where it's naked and brave?
What do you do?
Totally.
What's the-
You, I don't know.
We're not allowed to be afraid.
Oh,
You're not
easy
allowed
peasy.
to be afraid.
Easy,
You have to
just be out in a
upload
public
pictures
space.
to the internet.
Yeah.
Be naked and brave.
There we go.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are a couple shows on Discovery that I would like to try out. Also, what's that one? Deadliest Catch. I want to try that out.
Alaskan
Get so
bush people.
seasick.
Alaskan bush people. I'm gonna try Alaskan bush people.
I want to try Panda Wars.
Yeah. I would like. Oh God, I love pandas.
I love how dumb pandas are.
What's Panda Wars?
I don't know what
Panda
it is.
Republic. Panda
Panda-
Republic. That is Whale Wars, and then there's
What?
Panda Wars.
Wait, what's Whale Wars?
Whale Wars is the whaling industry.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's like
less- that's less
showing
nice.
like what it's like. I'm not like to be against it. To be against
Oh.
the whaling. That's why it's whale
So
wars.
you're at war with whalers.
They arm whales.
They should call it Whaler
dope.
Wars.
Mhm.
I know Sam has seen this, but Brie, did you watch the trailer for the new
Legends of the Hidden Temple. Oh.
Planet Earth?
You asked you brought that up twice this week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Right.
didn't even know there
See.
was gonna be a
So
new
I'm gonna
one.
see if you guys were. No, Nickelodeon Legends of the Hidden Temple looks like shit. I
It
can't
doesn't look good.
wait. I'm gonna
Oh.
watch the shit out of it. It looks terrible.
Oh yeah.
I love shit TV.
I saw Planet Earth trailer.
Oh
as
my
well.
god,
It's beautiful.
I want that to be in VR. Why? When is there gonna be some high quality VR nature
Documentaries.
stuff? Yeah, I want to watch Meerkat Manor in VR. Remember that show?
Yes. It's
great.
beautiful.
Question about VR.
Here.
Will it make me sick?
It depends on how
I get very
easily
sick.
you get motion
Did
sickness.
you-
I get motion
There's,
sick.
They have found ways to counteract that
Mm-hmm. You have
now
to have like
because
a
you're
point and stuff.
You're stationary for a lot of the games because a lot of where you get motion sickness is if you are moving and looking around at the same time and looking around. But if you're stationary, like on a bike or car seat or whatever, then it tends to make it better. But I think it's just like how easily you get motion sickness.
Gotcha.
You can come over and try it and then
Well, yeah, she does the
puke or not puke.
PSVR.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, did you do the VR horror movies at Fantastic Fest?
No.
Those were a good example of how to do
Fun.
VR right. Because like even the one that is moving, which is it was catatonic, where you're like strapped to a wheelchair and being moved through a like insane asylum. Like because you can see your body as a stationary object no matter where you go, it like didn't make you feel sick. It just made it feel like you could observe like through a telescope of what was happening.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Something
They were-
scary happened to me at Fantastic Fest.
What?
Spooky.
Whitney was there for it. We were in this movie.
I was drunk so much for so much of that.
We were in the Polish Mermaid musical,
Uh-huh.
and I let out a sound that I didn't know was humanly possible because I was so into this fucking movie, and I felt a tickle of a sneeze coming on, and I was like, nope, hold your breath. So I held my breath.
Brie made an almost inhuman noise.
And you guys, I was
Can you
like,
try
I
to
have to be
recreate it?
so quiet. I can't disturb anyone right now. Held my breath, and then I opened my mouth because I was holding my nose to breathe, and I let out like a scream, like
Can
a
you-
cat
can you-
screeching.
Can you try to recreate what that noise
I don't
was?
remember. It was
like,
like-
this. I'm going to move this. Steve and I were sitting next to her, and we were like,
Everybody in the theater started laughing, and I knew in that moment it was the first time in my life that I never tried to be funny, and I just got a genuine
Laugh.
laugh,
Uh-huh.
and it felt so good and so
That's the first
embarrassing
time?
at the same time. Like,
Oh, man.
I just
I
feel
hate
like-
those laughs.
Those
I mean,
are the
sometimes
soul-crushing ones.
you know,
Yeah.
sometimes you just will randomly say shit without thinking about it, and it's funny. Like that's different. Like this is something like I was trying very hard not to make any sound, anyone do anything, and it was just the first time
It
that's
was
ever
just
happened. to
what
me.
you did
That's
was
so
just
funny.
a punchline in and of itself.
It was so
It was a
funny.
beautiful moment.
And I laughed, but it would have been better if it didn't happen to me. It happened to somebody else for sure.
No, because then it's your story, and
my
like that's
story.
really fun. Like, do you ever see me walk and me get caught up in like cables and shit? Like that's my life. Whatever, like that.
I
you
trip over
sneeze-
everything too.
Yeah.
Like
I
I'm-
don't do anything embarrassing ever.
Never.
I understand. You're perfect. I get it.
Hey, but if you guys are perfect, you know what you should do?
What?
You should go check out
get a
squarespace.com. You should make a
Hell
website
yeah.
about it. Go to squarespace.com/SourceFed to start your free trial today. If you enter the offer code SourceFed, you get 10% off your first purchase. You sign up for a year, you get a custom domain name for free. It's super easy to use interface, awesome award-winning templates, the whole shebang. Go ahead and check out squarespace.com/SourceFed. But guys, thank you for tuning into the SourceFed podcast. As a little bonus thing, I meant to do at the beginning, completely forgot, and we're
yeah.
back around to it. I actually went to iTunes and I saw that we have a review section there. So I wanted to do this, and I keep forgetting because on mobile you can't sort through all the reviews, and you guys have written a lot of them, and they're really nice. They're really they're genuinely really cool, and we appreciate when you guys do a little 5 stars and you rate and review. But this one's from Huge SF Fan, 5 stars, finest podcast of 2016. Consistent, remarkable quality, never fails to bring laughter to my car rides. So that's one. And I had another one. This is the podcast of our time, 5 stars by Boca J Tortas. Says, this show got me into podcasts. It has a group of the funniest...
Oh.
There it is. Has a group of the funniest people who talk about great topics and have just a great time. Very entertaining and hilarious. So I think I want to integrate some
thanks,
review
guys.
reading into
That's
these.
a great idea, Sam.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
I want you guys to feel included, but you guys can actually
Totally.
send us some ideas for podcasts, like what you guys would like us to talk about in the future. Go ahead and hit us up on Twitter at SourceFed, but also our personal ones. Bree.
At Brie Esrig everywhere, girl. And don't forget to check out Nuclear Family on YouTube.
Hey.
Bam. Whitney.
At Tweetney Moore, like my name, and at Whitney S. Moore on Snapchat and on Instagram. You could send me an Instagram, or you could send me a Snapchat.
That's so
You
nice.
could do one of 2 things. Or a tweet, I guess. You could do 3 things.
Whoa.
Heck yeah.
And you can check out Whitney and I over at SourceFed. And we're doing a lot of fun stuff for Halloween. We're even putting together some costumes and watching scary movies like we brought up before,
Yeah.
which I'm very proud of. But you can go ahead and follow me. I've now got it pretty tight. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Sam Basher. Super easy. Took a long time to get that mess sorted out. But guys, thank you again. Make sure you like this video if you're watching the video format, and comment, subscribe, share, do all the fun things. But if you're listening to this, just the audio portion, go ahead and rate and review on iTunes, and let us know if you want any other platforms to listen to these shows on. I know there's a million, so we'll go ahead and have to start working through those. But thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
ASMR.
Hey, everybody. You sound like Candace. You ever feel like a plastic bag?
About this web series I had that we were talking about, we were
Live a
watching
Little.
it earlier.
That was
And-
called Live a Little?
It really is
Live a
called
Little.
Oh, nice.
And it was basically this web series I had.
On Soul Pancake.
And-
We're gonna pumpkin spice it with 1 teaspoon of pumpkin spice. Stir. This pumpkin pie spice is just getting everywhere. Glass right there. Just